So, it's been a while. My bed's a mess. Who cares? We did it. If you didn't watch on stream recently, we finally completed Paper Mario and the Origami King. Streamed the whole game. It took me about, I think it was totaled out at like around 30 hours, about 20 streams. It was long. It felt long just because overall, what I'm going to do in these, I'm going to just talk, just like the movie talks, except maybe be more reviewing of them, I guess, in a sense. Like, instead of just my thoughts purely, I will say something that would equate more to a review. But, anyways, we did beat Paper Mario the Origami King on stream. If you didn't tune in, I'd love if you would. I'll leave a link in the description to my Twitch. I stream Monday through Friday. Usually between 8 to 9 p.m. is when I start, and I'll go for about an hour or two. Just depends on how I'm feeling that day, how much I'm enjoying the game. I'm doing Valkyria Chronicles right now. Also, since this is going to be my newest video since the Killing Fields video, I did want to give a huge shout out to ACG, aka Karak, giving a shout out to our Bad Times at the El Royale video. It got a ton of views. I'm glad. I honestly hope that most of those people would also go and watch the Killing Fields one. I think that's a much better movie. I'd love for people to hear about it and get interested and go watch that. But back on topic, for those people who want to just know what my thoughts are right away, this is an okay game. It's nothing special. It's not going to be the best Paper Mario, but it's not the worst, I guess. It's not a bad game. I think Nintendo does a pretty good job of making good games that can just be boring. So like there's nothing wrong with the mechanics, there's nothing wrong with the music, the story, the graphics. It's just like they're too kiddish, and this one sort of suffers from that, which could be a good thing. This seems like it'd be a fantastic game to introduce people to gaming with. The combat never gets too complicated or too convoluted. It has a fun and interesting story, and then it has all that fantastic Nintendo music lots of people have come to know and love. Overall, how I'm going to format the rest of this video is I'll talk a bit about my thoughts. I'll expand on it from here. And then I'll let you know when I go into what would be considered more spoiler territory. And so first off, my thoughts, the basic story, without much spoilers, is you will play as Mario, as Ollie, this origami little dude, has taken over the kingdom. He's folded Bowser, he's folded Peach, and he's ruined the origami festival that you and Luigi have just shown up to. And you get thrown into the dungeon. He takes away Peach's castle, and you find his sister Olivia, and you set off on a journey to go and try and stop Ollie from folding the entire world because for some reason he's super mad and being very emo looking. I don't know. It's typical villain. And Olivia is essentially what you learn is Ollie's sister who has been folded or has been folded by him. She is a little origami girl who is essentially plays the role of someone experiencing the world for the first time. So everywhere you're going with Olivia, she's learning new and interesting things, getting caught up in our world's typical like fun things that you can do. The basic functionality of the game is it's very story heavy, so it's about you going into all these new environments and having fun chats with Olivia and the characters that are in those environments and how they interact along from party members. You get one being like a Babam, Kamek, and Bowser Jr. can be another, and you go to all these different locales as you try to take down these streamers that Ollie has sent out to help free Peach's castle so you can go and stop him. Each of these streamers pretty much being guarded by a specific type of origami equipment, I guess you'd call it, tool to do origami. So I think the first one you fight is like colored pencils. So like I guess if you draw on the origami. And then all the villains are going to be your typical Mario villains. You can see a few on the front. If we hold it right here, there's all these Mario villains that are folded up. And how they interact is this nice little puzzle thing I'll show up on screen. Which is cool, and it's engaging the first time around, but the problem is it does get tedious when you're 30 hours in, and the only way they enhance it is by making the puzzles more complicated. The combat doesn't get more interesting. You will always be using jumping boots or a hammer, and then there's like a hurl hammer, so a hammer that like you throw and it goes down a line, and the whole point of the game is either getting enemies in a line or in a 4x4 square, essentially. I do think where the game shines is its bosses. I think a lot of people have said this who've played this. The bosses are really interesting because they're puzzles. Like if you know, it's sort of like Demon Souls. If you know the boss, you can beat it really quick and insanely easily. And it won't be, ironically, much of a challenge to you because you know what to do. But first time around, you might die once. It's not hard. There's nothing that hard. I died at maybe once to each boss, if at all. But that's about it for non-spoiler. There's cool little cutscenes to find. There's like these coffee houses, things like that that help expand upon the characters, but without spoiling too much. Um, that's the gist of it. The game just gets really, really tedious after a while. You will see puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. The good thing is you can skip combat. There is no negative for skipping combat. There's none. There's no levels. You just find items and they improve your ability to fight the enemies later in the game. So you can get a little bit faster through it if you know how to dodge the enemies. And then some fights are undodgeable. But from here on out, I'm going to talk more story spoilers, more gameplay spoilers, all the different bosses and so forth. So if you don't want to hear stuff like that, thanks for tuning in the video. Leave a like. Tell me your thoughts on what maybe you've played of Paper Mario, the Origami King. But from here on out, I'm going to talk story spoilers. So the biggest thing I can say from here is I did not expect this game to be so based around loss. It's about Olivia, sure, learning about the world, but it's also her learning about grief. So one of the bigger moments in the game is you have a Bob-omb who you name Bobby, and he has amnesia, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And when you finally get to the end of his arc, Olivia gets trapped under an arc, and he finds his fuse, and he goes, I know what to do, and he blows himself up so he can free Olivia, because that's his whole goal in life, is to blow up, the big boom, as he calls it. And you have to watch as Olivia goes through stages of grief, and you have to help convince her to get out of them by making her laugh. It's nuts. I wouldn't expect this in this kid's game. And then the big thing, if we skip all the way to the end, is the ending is, as I said before, Olivia was folded by Ollie. Well, in the end, she makes a wish to be unfold everything Ollie folds, so you lose Olivia. And it's about having this friend that went on a journey and having her lost. Like, that's nuts. I was sitting in bed and I was like, this game's sort of affecting me, but I don't know why. It wasn't like fantastic, but it's just like, why was that kid's game so depressing in the end? And that's the big thing. You do go through, there's lots of interesting boss fights from the Velumentals, I guess is how you say it. There's an earth, fire, water, and ice one. You go through all their different biomes and fight them. There's the different supplies that range from colored pencils, rubber bands, tape, scissors, stapler. That should be it. I think I'm missing one. I'm missing one. I'm missing the third one. Huh. Well, I don't remember the third one, to be honest. I'll show a picture of them. I have the fight. I do like how the final boss fight wasn't hard, but I wasn't expecting a workout, as I'll show up on screen. You have to, like, shake the controller. Actually, I have the controller here. You have to, like, shake the controller like this to knock Bowser forward so he can fight Ollie. It's a workout, man. I didn't expect that. But yeah, like, along spoilers other than story spoilers, there's 5 areas. They let you know that pretty quickly, so it's really easy to keep track of your process. The areas are simply get to the area, have fun conversations with Olivia, find keys to get access to. Usually it's the Velumental first. You go fight the Velumental, gain its ability, then you go fight the boss, and usually that Velumental will help you with the boss. And then beyond that, there is a secret ending, so if you get 100% of all the collectibles in the game, you'll see what is the guy who folded on Ollie, which is just a random toad. He's the master of origami or whatever. He puts up a little thing of Olivia and Ollie at the end. Yeah, overall, I do think if this game was to give in a price, I paid a full $60 for this. I would not say it's worth $60. I'd say it's worth about, 30. If you're picking it up for someone who's never played a game, that'd be an enjoyable way for them to enjoy it. But if you're a pretty hardcore gamer and you get bored at tedious mechanics, this game's not going to hit for you. Unless you really, really enjoy the story, which the story is really fun and silly. They have a lot of good comedy moments and enjoyable characters. But that's what you have to go for, the characters and the music. You're not going to... If you're stuck there for the puzzles, then maybe you just really enjoy those kind of puzzles. But for me, it was like, okay, I just want to kill these guys. Can you, solve the puzzles? I'd pay money to have Toads solve the puzzles for me all the time, because I don't have time to sit here and figure out these puzzles. But it was an enjoyable experience to stream. I enjoyed streaming it for everyone. And thanks for stopping by about this talk about Paper Mario. I do have another movie talk coming up about Paths of Glory, a movie recommended to me by Silver Hawkins from the Just the Tip podcast, international podcast, whatever you want to call it. And then maybe a game talk on The Division. I hopped back in because of that RE event, so it's been really exciting. Other than that, I'm TMG Penty. Have a good one, okay, y'all? Take it easy.